So I have to say, this episode of Kino's Journey really messed me up. Last week, The Country of Liars was easily my favorite episode of the new series. Episode 1 was my favorite episode until The Country of Liars. I thought it was just fantastic, but I think this episode even tops last week for me. I really appreciated what they did with this character photo, and this was interesting because I know Kino's journey in the novels, it doesn't just specifically focus on Kino. There is plenty of different perspectives and things that happen, and I like that we're seeing that within the 2017 series because Photo was probably the most interesting character in the series for me at this point in time. I really appreciated what they did with this slave girl character because essentially she was sold to this kind of like traveling merchant who was the most despicable people you could possibly just see in this series. Like, in my opinion, this is some of the worst characters we've seen. I thought it was interesting with her mentalities. It seems she was like, this village that she was sold from was a very religious village, and they're looking at her like they just threw her away because she was an orphan. They wanted to get rid of the nuisance that was in their town. But she sees it as the priests wanted to give her a chance to see the world or give her a chance at a better life. And she has this very pure mindset that, you know, hating someone, wanting to kill someone, all this stuff is evil, and everyone one day will see the world that we can accept one another and be happy together. And it's this very pure thought process that many would dismiss as being too ignorant. We can never have that, which is probably true, but I appreciate seeing characters thrown in the worst situation and keeping their faith and not throwing it away and becoming the evil that is tormenting them. I think it's a very strong thing to do. Like, it's easy to hate people for being evil or being mean or just being cruel to you, but it takes a lot of strength to be able to respond to that with positivity. And I thought the way they handled Photo's character in this episode, where you see just how despicable her life is, and how she keeps with a smile on her face, and sometimes she'll even talk to him. She explains her thought process, and when she realizes that there is poison in their soup, she does try to say something, but at the same time, for that quick moment, she thinks to herself, I want them to die, and that's why she wants to go with them, because she feels like she's sinned beyond belief and she needs to go out with them. And I thought it was interesting that the one guy was essentially, he didn't really like vegetables, so he didn't eat all of it. And I like how, essentially, I wasn't sure where they were going to bring his character, if they were going to let him live and maybe they'd have some sort of like, oh, they actually became friends and he changed his ways. But I appreciate the fact that he didn't actually change, and the fact that he just wanted her to kill him, so because in his sick mind, he wanted to turn her into what she never wanted to be, but she ultimately doesn't continue on that path thanks to the motorrad that she meets. And I thought it was interesting because this village, or this traveling merchant band, was despicable. I mean, the son of the leader there literally wanted to buy her so he could kill her and torture her and beat her and shoot her arms and limbs so he can become a man and be strong. Like, this is the most despicable group of people you could possibly throw in this situation. And I loved how they handled her character. Even at the face of all of this, she's tried to stick to her ideals, and even when she wanted to give up, the motorrad said, no, you have so much to live for and you're gonna take me out of this place. And I thought the way they handled this one-off character was fantastic. I really felt for her character, and I thought this was such an interesting setting for just being set up in the mountains with not a lot of scenery minus a couple of pretty mountain shots. This was a very immersive episode. It had a lot going on for it, and I like the idea that Kino has of she never interferes with things. She won't interfere with the country's way of life, and it's interesting to see, like, once she sees, you know, this is such an ugly sight, like, man, I don't want to see all these dead people, so maybe I should just close my eyes in a lot of ways. And it's just so interesting that we don't need to focus on Kino herself for it to be an amazing episode, and I hope to see more episodes like this down the line, and hopefully Lurch will do a second season to this because I really like what they're doing. I like the new stories that we're seeing, and I can't wait to see what next week is going to bring. Based on the title, it seems like it's going to be a pretty interesting one. But Photo, I thought, she has such a silly name, but it's so natural. I love seeing where she ultimately ended up. She got to grow up, she had a new friend, and she got to have a proper life, and it seems like she got to keep her ideals, and I really, really love what that had to say with just overall her character and the way of life in society. This was a good episode. It was powerful. Like, definitely, it had me feeling for this girl, and at times I was like, man, these people probably do deserve to die, but just her way of thinking, it made me want to think that way too. And that's the power of Kino's journey. I love this episode, but let me know your thoughts. What did you think of this episode, and how do you think of Photo as a character overall? Let me know your thoughts, and before you leave, smack that like button, share your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.